Baba na, Noy. Sige, sige. Ito yung cellphone na yan sa rep. Yung nakaset sa BIOS niya, sa, dito sa taas ng rep.
After days of competition, long hours of victories, defeats, and lessons learned, we are here at the grand finals of your M2 World Championship 2020. Good evening, my name is Joaquin Gomez, and before we delve into the action, as always, we are living in interesting times around the world, pandemic. We wish you to stay safe, good health, but of course, M2 not made possible without all these people who came together to make sure we give you a competition to be proud of. Of course, this whole entire event, powered by our friends over at Moonton and our supporters, the Singapore Tourism Board, use the hashtag Passion Made Possible and post your pictures or memories of Singapore. And how about SCOGA, supporting esports talents and careers here in Singapore since 2008, our friends over at IMDA, and our partners for M2, Secret Lab, Tumi, SUTL, Singtel, MediaCorp, Cathay Cinema, and official gaming gear Razer. And don't forget, you have a chance to win the Razer Black Shark V2. Just simply leave a comment on why it should be you on our Facebook live stream. As always, my co-host Lysander. On the panel, I have Wolf on my right, and right now he's having a bit of like dual identity. He's either Lefel TZ or Lefel DD.
He's actually Joaquim Gomez.
Or Lefel
He was
Gomez.
just making fun of you. He was making fun of you trying to imitate
No,
you.
I'm not making fun. It's just
no,
that
no, he was respecting.
yes. Okay, you know what they say that imitation is the
Yes.
highest level of flattery.
All right.
Like I don't know about you guys, but throughout all of this, like I've admired Joki. Like, has anyone told you you have the face for radio?
Now, if you want to understand why I'm laughing, that's actually an insult. Yes, in the media industry, when someone says you have a face for radio, yeah, you know.
No, I mean like I feel like I have the face for radio too, so I think we have something in common.
You know, you're gonna start the final discourse panel. You know, roast.
Yeah, with the roast.
So that he can't get back at you because you already hit him with the first
No,
hit.
I mean like I feel like we're the same level of attractiveness.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Something about that joke tells me that Lefel has been holding it in for the longest time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but enough jokes. Let's get to the serious stuff. Our grand final. Burmese Ghouls against BREN Esports. BG Never Give Up or BREN Lang Malakas. Now, let me just retrace their steps to the grand finals. Both teams, of course, topping their group. For Burmese Ghouls in the playoffs, they beat both BREN and RRQ Hoshi. For BREN, rather, they had to beat Todak and RRQ earlier this morning to get to the grand finals. My first question to our analysts, of course, on the couch right now, if you are Burmese Ghouls, how would you be feeling? Would you be feeling, one, well-rested, or two, slightly nervous? Because between BREN and Burmese Ghouls, BREN, they actually had, I don't want to use the phrase warm-up, but they had a game earlier, so they're more or less fresh of the mood of victory.
If I'm Burmese Ghouls, I'm gonna feel confident actually because of the fact that there's so many games that you can watch and base off of. For example, the series between Alter Ego Esports and against Todak, it went the long run. It went 3 games. It was 4 games for RRQ Oshi earlier. So there's really a lot of films that you can watch and base off of. So you're gonna feel really confident. Plus, well, I don't think the Burmese Ghouls will not warm up to this. I'm sure that along the lines, I mean, earlier this morning they probably had the scream partner just to warm up.
Yeah. And in my opinion, like based off looking at their interviews and such, what I feel that what Burmese School is feeling right now, number one, they feel prepared, they're not scared, and they're angry. Because for some reason, they feel like everyone is looking down on them. And then they're like, hey, we got here.
Exactly.
We are minimum top 2. And like I said, the host the other day said, underdogs like,
No, okay. So it's good
There
to bring
we
up
go.
because I waited all day to say this. Like, I've been supporting Burmese Ghouls. You guys have been on the panel. I've been supporting Burmese Ghouls the entire time because I felt like they are the earnest guys. They're one that has a lot of fire. People underestimate them. You know, I mean, a lot of people listed them as the underdogs. And when I brought it up to the player, it wasn't even my opinion. I was just bringing up the analyst stats. Some of the fans actually got really, really angry. They were like, how dare you call it the underdogs? We are world champion material. And you know what? I cannot contest that. I think they have played like world champions so far. Coming back from adversity, coming back from that series against RRQ Hoshi. I told you guys that was grand final material, but I was a little off the mark, but still, you know, it is still going to be Burmese Ghouls versus BREN Esports. BREN Esports also earned their spot here. They went through a lot of hell to get here, and it's a revenge match for them.
definitely.
Just that one word to sum
I
everything
set
up.
you up, and
Definitely.
you just let me down, LaFell. Come on.
He gave you the ball, Lefel. You had one job. You had one
Right,
job.
Wolf, save us.
Well, yeah, I think that they are indeed championship material for Burmese Ghouls. When you look back, if you look back at their performance, they do perform well. They're so confident. They execute well when it comes to team fights. And in the Filipinos describe them as a team that's very good when it comes to clashing.
Why does it feel like you're avoiding eye contact when you're talking in that serious manner?
He just might burst out laughing looking at you, Lefel. That said, earlier, Lysander mentioned one very important word, the fans. Fans, of course, which are you right now watching us all over the world. We're pretty sure there is a spike in viewers from people in Myanmar and the Philippines. So to the respective countries, we say Mingalaba and Kamustaka. Thank you so much for joining us. Whichever team you're supporting today, leave it in the comments right now. Show them your love and show them your support as we have more questions for our analysts about tonight's game. For BREN Esports, what must they do to avoid defeat like what happened to them earlier against Burmese Ghouls a few days ago?
Okay. So for me. So this is my personal opinion. So let's look at Burmese Ghouls first. Let's dissect what they want to do. Number one, they like the early, mid-game team fights, and that's the second part. They like team fights. And number two, one of the more, I would say, prominent weaknesses that we have seen that's been covered by the Digi is that they are pretty bad, or at least they take a little bit more time to get used to being ambushed, right? So these are the three things that we know about them. They like the early to the mid, they like team fights, and they take a little bit of time to adjust in getting ganked.
Yeah, they take a lot of liabilities with safety because they think they have Diggy to bail them out. So they play along that play style. So that is a potential weak point to exploit if you are BREN Esports. But BREN Esports, you know, a lot of people put them as the favorites, but they dropped a lot of games in this playoff. But they managed to fight back. And I think that is something that Burmese Ghouls should be afraid of. BREN Esports will not give up. Even if you got them on the ropes, they will not be giving up.
That's right.
That's right.
All right. With that said,
Second time now, he's dropped the ball.
We're gonna. I'm not playing basketball with you, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go into the teams head-to-head. We're gonna have a bunch of stats, and hopefully, LaFell, you do your job this time, LaFell. Numbers, please.
Just to be fair, I'm just messing with you. Anyways, right now let's look at the games played. Obviously, Burmese Ghouls, they only played 12 games, so not much games for us to really dissect compared to BREN Esports with 16 games in terms of the damage per minute. Honestly, at this point of the game, we never see any big difference in terms of damage just because every one of the teams are playing so good. Average game score 37, 35. Lords lane per game 1 to 0.9. Translate, alright, a little bit more different, where BREN Esports shows that they're a little bit stronger in terms of the objective control, probably in the 2 minute to 3 minute mark. Turrets destroyed per game, 8 and 7.
I think the reason why BREN Esports are getting so many turtles late per game for average, particularly in the recent battles, is because of the fact that they are playing Lancelot. And when they play Lancelot, they take a lot of turtles. That's one of their conditions. They always want to secure that. That is something that Burmese Ghouls can expose. Because if you take away all the control from BREN Esports in the early stages, they're quite easy to beat.
Yeah, and Cartesia has shown a few games that he can lose on that Lancelot.
Yeah, you definitely want to be re-looking at that first game versus RRQ Hoshi when they lost as Lancelot. If you are Burmese Ghouls, you want to figure out how to deal with the Kaltisi and Kaltisi Lancelot, and also you want to find out how you want to deal with the Digi on Burmese Ghouls' side if you're BREN Esports.
And interesting enough, even though Burmese Ghouls played less games than BREN Esports, but Burmese Ghouls, they actually played more unique heroes than BREN, which shows, what does this show, Wolf?
They're creative.
And for BREN Esports, they are definitely the team that's, they are specialists, right? They are very strong in the heroes that they're comfortable with. I think that we have established that all throughout the playoffs. Now, for Burmese Ghouls, real quick, they have more unique heroes played, but not only in their set, but I think that they're also the team with the unique heroes that only them can play here in the Asian World Championship.
Yeah, and also this is a very important storyline, guys. You guys, the analysts, have been saying that Carl TZ is the best carry and Ace also equally as good. So I need you guys to make up your mind who is really the best carry here, because we're going to find out who carries the team better, Ace or Carl TZ.
Honestly, this is a very easy question once we see who wins. You know,
right.
but let's talk about numbers. 7.8 to 5.5. Ace is a little bit more safer than Carl DZ. Goal per minute, roughly the same. But the big difference is Carl DZ deals more damage than Ace. But this is not the fault of Ace. This is actually just how good Burmese Bull team is, because if we remember right, their lineup is basically all damage, right? And on the side of BREN Esports, Carl TZ is basically the one who chases all of those kills. You know, he gets those crazy savages and everything. So he is almost independently dealing the damage, while on Burmese Bull, everyone is doing their part.
I have a quick comparison between these two players. Carl TZ is more of a killer type of carry player, while Ace is more tailored towards taking objectives with his team.
there is a cash prize for whoever gets MVP of the final. Now, don't forget, it's best of 7. Who do you think, who do you predict might walk away with that final MVP check?
I think judging from all of the players that I've seen all throughout the playoffs, Contis is the hungriest of them. I would say he can fend for himself many times, and I think he showed up when he plays the Lancelot, and when he plays heroes like the Claude, he's also very on point,
Very aggressive.
very aggressive as well. So I think that he's hungrier for that one.
Okay. Well, it's not necessarily a matter of hungriness. I think it's also a matter of how much score you accrue for your team. You know, how much you get for your team. It might not even be the carries that become the MVP. That's something that you guys back home will have to take note, because I think a few times the tanks have gotten the MVP because of just how many team fights they lay up.
Yeah, I agree. Like I also feel like whoever plays the most, they have the more chances of getting the MVP. Like almost every single game, Christina Ng is there, so she has.
Shout out to the head marshal.
Shout out to the head marshal. But again, if we're talking about it, it's the most games, right? So in terms of the MVP, if BREN wins, definitely Cartesi, just because he is more flashier. If Burmese School, it's really up in the air.
All right, let's have a look at your screens right now. This is going to be interesting. The player lineups are out. Let's start with Burmese first.
Yep, we have Rookie, Kid, Ace, and D, where, you know what? We've talked about this, guys, and if I would change my nationality again, I would like to rename myself as Lafel Didi. I feel that is the most appropriate.
Are you switching teams again at the last minute?
I think that Burmese Schools will take it.
Come on, man. I really wanted to be right in my prediction with Burmese Schools.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Why you gotta mess up?
like, I can see Leo and Butters, they're very happy right now.
I am happy right now.
Yeah,
too.
they need to be controlled a little bit. Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to control them?
Anyways, right now, let's look at the lineup of BREN ESPORTS, where I feel like Wolf wants to say this.
Oh yeah, Revo, Q, Lusky, and of course the TZ brothers, Carl and Flap. My goodness. They're very young, by the way. I think the oldest one is probably Revo, and then the rest is like 22 or 23 years old.
Yeah, I can't believe they all look like me.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. All the TZs look the same, yeah?
They also look good for it.
Okay, let's
I love it. A roast from a wolf. A roast from
45 kills on the Lancelot, that is amazing.
Oh, yeah,
45 kills.
This guy has a lot of kills. If we count MVP by kills, this guy's got it.
This guy's got it, definitely. And right now, let's look at the player lineup prediction. Ruby Didi against Revo, Kids against Few, maybe against Lusty, Ace against Carl TZ, as well as D against Flap TZ. Where I do feel like the lane in Flap TZ's lane is going to be quite interesting.
You know, this probably is the only matchup, and it's so interesting because it's in the grand finals, where the teams never changed their lineup.
Yeah,
And maybe that's the secret to success. Consistency.
agreed.
We got more stats coming your way, but of course, if you just joined us here for your M2 World Championship Grand Finals, we say welcome. Whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or maybe even in cafe cinemas here in Singapore, grab the popcorn, grab your nachos. If you're hosting a viewing party, make sure you stay safe and adhere to the guidelines as well, because we got one mouth-watering clash coming your way, known as the Grand Finals between Burmese Ghouls and BREN ESPORTS. We got time for a few more questions for our analysts right now. I want to touch on both teams because they are fan favorites. If we were to go to audience predictions, it will be shown in just a bit. I'm going to just give my own prediction here. I might be 50-50, given how vocal our Burmese fans and Filipino fans are. What do you think?
I think that we are predicting the predictions, right?
Exactly.
So that is
Yes.
so interesting.
Nice.
You know, so many big fans, not only from the Philippines, but of course from Malaysia. I've heard a lot of stories about how indulged fans are here in Singapore. Actually, one of some Filipinos, they are grouping us because it's a Sunday, right? And it's family day. They don't have work, so they group up. They host watch parties and then just order a lot of Filipino foods. I saw this post, and it's amazing because they ordered lechon. If you know lechon, it's like the roasted pig, and it really makes you feel. You know, it really feels homely, right?
Yeah. Esports brings us together across the world. I think you guys have been in Singapore for a while. You probably miss home. And M2, we're on the final day already. And okay, something I want to push to you guys. We are going to predict the predictions, right? You said that obviously Myanmar's going to support Burmese Schools and Philippines going to support BREN. But BREN Esports just took down the Indonesian superstars. I think the Indonesian fans are going to support Burmese schools just out of spite. What do you guys think?
I think so too. Yeah, I also heard that the Malaysian fans are also siding the Burmese schools side.
Yeah. BREN eSports. Okay, BREN eSports have made a few enemies, taking them
That's
out in
right,
the lower
that's right.
bracket, but they have proven they are resilient. So let's take a look at audience predictions. All right.
Oh, okay.
and there we go.
I've
I
never
actually
been more
predicted
wrong
this.
in my
Okay,
life.
we have been super wrong. Okay, very, very wrong.
I knew this was going to happen. Oh, wait, more BREN eSports? Oh.
Yeah. Burmese schools 35%, BREN eSports 65% according to our audience who have voted by scanning the QR code. This is surprising. This is quite surprising. I was
Do
expecting
not-
a closer fight within our audience.
Do not underestimate the Filipinos.
Do not underestimate the Burmese, dude. They are angry that people underestimate them. They say they are world champion material. We'll see in this best of 7. Are here to make themselves the champions and fulfill their destiny.
Hey.
See, we believe, talents, guys. See, we
See,
believe.
see,
Don't
Burmese,
get
we
angry at
believe
us.
you.
Myanmar, don't get angry at
We
us.
vote for you.
Vote for you. Of course, the Filipinos will vote for BREN, but we care. We believe you.
We
So,
are the minority.
yeah. I'm not gonna go down that path, but we support you. Okay. All right. See.
Burmese schools at 60%, BREN eSports at 40%. I think we have a few minutes before we cut to our casters and the opening ceremony. I hear there's a dance going on. Now, guys, Lafell and Wolf, I want to ask you this seriously. Lafell, if you don't want to answer it, I totally understand. Wolf, who's going to take home the crown according to your expert analysis?
I think that all of the challenges that BREN had to face, it's like the red carpet is going to be laid down for them, and they're just going to take it. And I think that they also learned so much from their defeats, and I feel that this is the time for the Philippines to finally take the World Championship.
All right, Lafell, keeping quiet? Yes,
All
the,
right.
the mic is down.
He concedes.
The mic
He
is
doesn't want to use any magic.
Yeah, I don't want to speak,
Don't want to speak.
I
Okay.
don't want to talk.
Well,
Listen to
Joe
my
Kim, I
stuff.
think the tension is already really, really, really tight. We are going to be starting that grand finals. People are going to want to see that opening ceremony that they have prepared. So, over to you.
Exactly. So if you have not watched the stream at all, you might be getting texts from your friends right now to say, hey, the grand finals of M2 World Championship 2020, it's happening in mere moments. And if you're watching the stream right now, if you know anybody who plays Mobile Legends, forward them the link as we speak, and not to worry, join us for Razer and M2 giveaway. The grand finals happening right now. day I hear you call, face a new challenge, far, far away. Thrill of the fight as we fight to survive, for honor and glory, strong as a knight. Nothing can break us down, we will all wear a crown. We are unstoppable, we're proud like armor and shield. We are unbreakable, we're all invincible. Now we'll take on the world. We can fight for our lives. When the world collapses all around us, fight like a knight. Join the fight for our pride. Never rock the strap, but want to believe that it's right. Zero to hero, immortal hero. Another day is dawning again. Forget our troubles, we're standing the pain. Some others are gone, but spirits remain. We're fighting the names while victory awaits. We're invincible, let's take on the world. Fight for our lives. When the world collapses all around us, fight like a knight. Join the fight for our pride. Never rock the strap, but want to believe that it's right. Immortal hero, immortal hero. We're all invincible. Winning is impossible. We can fight for our lives. When the world around us, fight like a knight. Join the fight for our pride. Never rock the strap, but want to believe that it's right. Zero to hero, immortal hero. Zero to hero, immortal
Today's heroes will be immortalized. And welcome back to the Mobile Legends Bang Bang World Championship M2 2020. And special thanks to our sponsor, Secret Lab, the award-winning gaming seats engineered for long hours of comfort and sitting form. Available in the Secret Lab official store in major e-commerces in Singapore, or visit secretlab.co.
We would also like to say thank you to PvP Esports, our partner in esports to turn your competitive gaming dreams into reality, where gaming lives. PvP Esports is Southeast Asia's one-stop platform for amateur and professional gamers alike.
That's right, and of course, where are you if you're not really watching the grand finals right here for the Mobile Legends Bang Bang M2 World Championship? Did you guys know that there is an official live screening happening for the M2 in Singapore at Cathay Cinema Leisure Orchard? It's called MVP. And you'll be able to catch all the M2 action on a big cinema screen for this grand finals. There's still time for this best of 7 here. What's more, you can win attractive prizes when you take part in all the activities, as well as the lucky draw. MVP will be running all week long, and you can get your tickets at the Cathay Cineplex's website. You can also check out www.rg.gg/MVP to find out more. Shout out to our MLBB communities across the world, as well as in Singapore, watching
at the Cathay Cinemas, NUS Sports Hub, and Bukit Merah swimming complexes. Now, of course, my name is Contra. Our demo on stage, we do have our casters, Leo, in QS7. The last time we crowned champions, it was EVO's Legends. Now, new chapter because we will have a new nations actually on the rise. It's between the Philippines as well as Myanmar to be taking all the glory.
Will 2021 be the year of the Filipino or the Burmese? A new chapter is being written in history, and boy oh boy, my hands have never been more sweaty because we're all making history right here.
It's so much more than that. I think it's not only are we making history, but this is going to be a new chapter for a lot of competitive Mobile Legends fans out there, now believing that everybody is able to become a champion, not just the Indonesians no more. And I think next year the Indonesians have so much more to fight for to regain that title. But for now, we got to focus on this very moment. Myanmar versus the Philippines.
And for some of these players, this is the end of their 2020 season, so they want to end it with a bang. And what's the best thing that you can do rather than carry that trophy and become the best team in the world?
Well, that certainly is a very big question here, but you know, other than carrying the trophy, first and foremost, they must carry not only the pride of the nation, they have to be pretty much disciplined in every single maneuver to be able to be called champions, because there are times teams such as BREN Esports or even Burmese GHOULS have been looked down upon, where people say, hey, it's an Indonesian domination back in M1. Looks like the stories have definitely changed in this chapter.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, so many more things are going to occur here. And before we even get into this bout, it's good to shout out that, you know, these two teams have come on from a very long background, especially from M1 itself. The Burmese GHOULS making their debut in MSC, goes into M1, not having, actually surprising a lot of people there, but now so different. A lot has changed in 1 year.
Let's have a look into the stage as we do have our hit marshal on the top of the podium. And of course, Christina Ng will be the one in charge of making sure everything is in check, ready for our perfect best of 7, because we're expecting very long bouts of games in every single one of these matches. And let's also get our coaches in as we start off with Panda, who will be facing on a very formidable side, and from BREN Esports, we got Ducky.
Honestly, I have to admit, Panda is an inspiration to all people from Myanmar. He is, again, an absolute genius when it comes to the game. He knows what he's doing, but you also can't forget about Ducky. He's been leading this team, again, from the very beginning itself. As soon as it got reformed, he was the man who showed them the direction, and now here they are.
Coach Ducky, looking at him right now, we're very close with him, but looking into his eyes, this is a different man. This is a man on a mission. This man is responsible for the hopes and dreams of so many people, and he knows that, and this is going to be the stage where he proves it.
Yeah, and we definitely seen really great class being shown, not only from the coaches, the players as well. Of course, when they go into war, we do hear all the battle cries and stuff, but in terms of humility as well as respect, Myanmar side, Burmese GHOULS have been showing so much of it time after time.
Because of the noisy or colorful matchups have already passed. This is as professional and as respectful and as honorable as it gets. These two teams, they understand that the other is so powerful and so strong that they got here for a reason.
And seeing how BREN Esports, you know, all the noise that they made for the other teams, right now for Burmese GHOULS, they're taking this quite seriously. Burmese GHOULS, they've been making noise a bit, but it's actually the Burmese people who are going wild and crazy on social media.
Let's check this one out, because we got the lines all being drawn, and Burmese GHOULS side is going to be fielding the absolute 5 from the start to the finish. And all right, back to you, Gideon. You've definitely got something to say.
Yeah, honestly, BDD, maybe Kid, Ace, and D, these guys are really respectable as they are pushing their nation into a completely new era. Who would have thought that they'd be standing here today fighting for the championship itself? A lot of respect goes out to these boys.
And we've been saying a lot that Burmese Ghouls has been getting a lot of experience. MXC experience, M1 experience, MPLI experience. And look at what that experience brought to them now.
The grand stage of the finals at M2. They are facing down Rebo, Carl Teasy, Few, Lusty, and Flap Teasy of BREN Esports. And yeah, when you say these two teams, Burmese Ghouls and BREN Esports, specifically at M2, it's these 10 faces. Specifically these 10 faces.
Yeah, and you know, there were so many times that they faced off in so many tournaments, but this time is where it matters the most. And we definitely want to look at all these sort of brackets to really tell it further, right? And starting things off, we saw Burmese Goals. They've managed to take out the Filipino side to knock them down towards the lower brackets, but look at where BREN Esports started their journey from the lower brackets here, because they took on some of the toughest of opponents.
I like the perspective that you're drawing here, Contra. Look at this. Burmese Ghouls knock out BREN in the upper bracket 2-0, right? And then Burmese Ghouls go on to take down RRQ, Hoshi, the King of Kings, 3-2 in a best of 5. And then just earlier today, BREN Esports go ahead, take the best of 5 from RRQ Hoshi, 3-1. Now, what does that make BREN and Burmese Ghouls? What's the comparison like? The power levels are through the roof, like there's no straight comparison. So we can't even say it's apples to apples, oranges, like there's nothing like this matchup right here.
Considering what the teams brought out to their respective matches, like Burmese Ghouls had to face Albert and Lemon, while for BREN Esports they had to face WizKing and Sin. So these teams, they are really different in some ways that a lot of the coaches right now try different methods to contain them.
That's right, and of course, speaking of different metas and such, do you guys know that this is your final chance here to pick up some great stuff coming into the M2 World Championship? Complete tasks and predict the champions to win M2 coins. Exchange those coins for exclusive rewards such as the special avatar border and skins, battle emotes, sacred statue, you name it. Or else you can also spend some diamonds to get the Clint Shadow Omen skin that can be gained for 899 diamonds. And with that, the event will happen right now till 24th of January. So make sure you grab it quick. So 1 minute on the clock before we get ourselves into picks and bans. What are we expecting right here in Game 1?
Well, I expect a very snowball-heavy kind of composition coming in for the side of Burmese Ghouls. And the same for BREN Esports. I think these are the two compositions that have been really excelling in the game, especially when you're fighting for that first turtle. And, you know, very similar, like the fans from Myanmar, Burmese Ghouls absolutely love just going for the throat as soon as possible and just jumping to make it a fast conclusion.
I have two expectations here. One, BREN Esports bans out the Diggy, no questions asked. Or two, BREN Esports opens up the Diggy and through the course of the playoffs have figured out a hard answer. That's all I'm seeing here.
In terms of expectations on my side, I really just think that you guys brought it up all. Like the Diggy, the clash potential that Burmese Ghouls has. But BREN Esports, I just expect them to be a bit more careful into picking their fights. The first time they met, they kind of underestimated them. And right now, Burmese Ghouls, they gain the respect of BREN Esports. So BREN Esports will bring their A game.
Yeah, speaking of A game here, immediately we do see some top tier bans immediately having this sort of ban in the form of Esmeralda as well as Benedetta being removed from play. Same goes to Brody. This is a consistent ban coming from every single one of these playoffs ever since the semifinals. Can we talk about the reasons why we're not seeing any of these picks?
Oh, well, the reasons why we're not seeing these picks is because people have so much stock in them. And so far, this telegraphs BREN Esports has not figured out an answer to the Diggy. Just a no-go. BREN Esports, second ban of the game, takes out the Diggy already.
Looking at how much CC and Control and big team fight ultimates are included now in this tournament meta, Diggy is great. Now, if you cannot create a meta or a new counter in one day, then just ban it out.
It's the safest and it's the easiest answer to handle the issue here. But that does mean that it opens up another priority pick for the Burmese Ghouls later on. So BREN Esports, they're willing to take that risk saying, hey, we're going to have to get rid of this Diggy, and one way or another, Natalia might actually slip through our fingers, and we got to be okay with it. And that same goes for Sylvana, same goes for Yu Song, same goes for the Lapu Lapu.
And one more name that I want to bring up and towards the list of heroes in the open pool is going to be the Yi Shun Shin. And we've seen some great numbers on the screen when the analysts as well as the hosts were actually chatting about it. And these are possibly the favorite heroes for not only Burmese Ghouls but also BREN Esports.
Yu Zhong, Burmese Ghouls, they still go for this. This is the hero of D that annoyed or just stopped Carl Tizzy from getting his farm.
But so far, we've seen an answer. We figured it out. BREN really likes that Baksha.
Yeah, and I think BREN is going to be considering picking up the Baksha. Whether it's going to be first rotation or not, it's going to be interesting here because I would assume that BREN, at the very least, gets the Lapu Lapu and as well as the Baksha, and we'll have to see where it goes. But yeah, here comes the Baksha, first locked in for side BREN Esports, and their second pick, Matilda instead.
This is a very solid draft. This is what we saw when they went against RRQ Hoshi, and man, Latizi is the man that you're looking out for to protect the entirety of BREN Esports. And it starts from the early game where he just chases people down, making sure that all the entry points in towards the jungle will be cut off. So, in response, Burmese Gold now go in for both the Yishin Shin as well as Savannah, which we've talked about earlier. This is what Burmese Goals have been looking for.
And this is what the Baksha likes as well. Like, considering that Sylvana goes in with the Imperial Justice, that means everyone is gonna be at the same place. That means his ultimate is gonna hit more people, and that is going to be a lot of time for BREN to take down those people.
Indeed. And now we're going to be heading in towards phase number 2. So, Gideon, there's going to be 4 more slots for heroes to be axed away. And what should we start off with coming from BREN Esports?
Well, I think the first thing you have to start considering is whether or not you can get wave clear in your kit. And if you can't go for wave clear, then you have to go for something with a lot more pick potential or the side lanes here, which both sides still need to figure out. So BREN, they're realizing, all right, we don't want to get harassed in the early game. We might not necessarily get that sort of wave clear. BREN decided to get rid of the Hilda.
Smart moves. This is going to be a target ban onto towards Kaja, although we haven't seen BREN Esports play Kaja for quite a while. So
Yeah, not very successfully. Not very successfully. The Kaja was their downfall whenever they would play the Matilda plus the Harley or just greedy lineups in general. Kaja just has a miserable win rate at M2. But right now, I'm guessing they need to choke out maybe and as well Ace. Oh, sorry, they need to choke out Ruby Didi.
Yeah, considering BREN Esports right now, how they're doing their draft, they're just batting out those heroes that will just stop Cartesi from getting farmed. But for the side of Burmese Schools, this is very specific. They know that BREN Esports would aim for Ace. They know that they have to protect Ace at all costs. Now, Kaja is one of those picks that just makes a lot of sense. A divine judgment is going to take down a lot of people, especially this is going to be a big threat if Ace just goes to the front lines.
What about the Jawhead here? Because Jawhead has not been banned at the moment, and it's looking pretty good, and it possibly will be a point of contest. But Burmese Ghost is taking their time here, Gideon.
Yeah, I would say either Jawhead or Chill, either or would be fine, but it looks like Burmese School is going to say, you know what, as long as you don't have wave clear, I don't mind if you want to play for pick potential. Our macro is just going to be have to be a lot cleaner. So now BREN have the options here. Okay, I could look to get one of my side laners and go in blind, and that's not exactly the best against the Burmese Schools. As we have seen many times before, they like to make sure that they have at least one winning side laner to play off of, and most of the time, that guy goes into the side lane.
Yep, this is good. This is good. BREN Esports, I think they made the tough call of the lesser evil. What do we focus on? The counter for the tank, or revealing our gold laner first, and then Burmese Ghouls can finish up strong? I think Burmese Ghouls need another tank, and there's the Jawhead, and they need one more side laner. Butters.
This could be... I'm actually lost for heroes right now in terms of the side of Burmese Schools. It seems like they just play everything in the meta. Now, knowing them, they would just go for something with magical prowess or with a mage side lane. The Esmeralda was banned, so this is going to be a Harith.
You're absolutely right, Brothers. I mean, they wanted to go for Magic, and the only one that seemed viable at this point in time since that Lunox was banned was going to be the Harith. On top of the Burmese Ghouls banning out the Farsa as well. So, good call there. But finally, BREN Esports, now they have to make a decision here. Do they want to run a double marksman composition?
Oh, they need a hero here for Lusty. Lusty needs a good hero. I'm guessing Trusty. Yep, Trusty Lusty Cho. He can also go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
He was looking at Atlas the other day, so Atlas would be okay.
Oh!
Good call. Good call.
Lusty. That's on the house. I'm here till Monday.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. It's like a little birdie just chirped in your ear and say, okay, let's bring in the Fatal Links.
Oh boy, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how this game is going to go. It's very team fight heavy. Both sides have a great way to kind of scale in towards this game. Pseudo counters on both sides. Though I will say that the Burmese will have a much more powerful level 4 in comparison to BREN here, who is going to require to have to set this fight up in the right place at the right time. Whether or not they're going to have that kind of pressure, different story.
I agree. BREN Esports needs to know when to not give that turtle. They should be fighting for this, and I think both of these teams are ready.
These two teams definitely are ready to take each other on. Are you on the Philippine side or are you on the Myanmar side? As Burmese Ghouls will be having this feed of a best of 7 against BREN Esports. We will find out who will be the grand champions after all of it. Starting from game number 1, we'll see how well will they adapt in the land of Dawn. It's your casters here on the desk. Butters, get in, as well as Leo.
All right, it's time to get the show on the road. And now, let's look at the lane assignments here because it's very important that they get the counter matchups on either side. And it looks like the Baxia is going to be meeting up his boy with the Yuzong down in the EXP lane, while in the gold lane is going to be Alice and the Harith. BREN going to be starting off on their purple buff, while maybe looking for the distraction.
Ooh, this is maybe just looking for that ejector on the purple.
Did take smart missiles, though.
Oh, all right, so he's just going to try to steal, clear wave, bother them maybe. Going to be using the Cyclone Eye right on through. Flap Easy has lethal intentions, goes for the stun, misses, there's no damage here, but with maybe a pretty low health, so yeah, that's the tank of Burmese Ghouls out of commission for now.
I like the reaction of Flap just going in for that first kill, running over maybe. He forced maybe to use the flicker. There might be a pull yourself together on his side, but at least it goes down for a couple of minutes.
I mean, interestingly enough, I'm looking at Flaptizia, I was thinking, maybe he's going so hard because he has the execute. I double check it. Boom, he's got the rejuvenate. So again, BREN is showing a lot of respect to the Burmese Ghouls, knowing that this is going to be all about that team fight.
Yeah, Revitalize super important in this matchup. Like, you want to outlast the Yuzhong, and you want to make sure you're putting as many marks and making it as hard as possible to sustain a team fight. Now, Carl Tizzi here has both of his buffs, so the initial thought of invading and making Carl Tizzi's life hard before the first turtle, the second minute of the game, is out the window for Burmese Ghouls. They have to find another way of attack.
Now, we can see up on top, Rebo here getting harassed a bit by Harith, and that is one of the things that the Harith can do. The flowing blood can be easily dodged by the Chrono Dash, so it's not going to be a problem for him. Now, Carl pulling that trigger on that blazing duet to clear the wave.
To control the wave so that they have first priority on this turtle. You can see the rotation. Even Harith is heading, is making his way down towards that turtle fight. And this is going to be really big here because Burmese Ghouls, they've won so many of these just off of one turtle.
Carl Tizzi going for the purple, and I do believe after Flaptizzi pushes them off, they're going to go for this turtle. Now, that's Few going to be pushed in by Ruby DD. Oh, Carl Tizzi gets invaded in by Ruby DD, and that's going to be the turtle taken here by Ace, and there's not much BREN Esports can do. Flaptizzi sure bombs the Poisson, but for so long, how can you survive this? Oh, he's still in it. That's a nice dash. He saves himself, and that's going to be just the first blood and the turtle. Oh, wait, Burmese Ghouls, they're not going to force it. Instead, just going to go for a few hits on the first turret.
Great save coming from View there. If he wasn't there, at least then he would be going down and giving another kill over to the Burmese Ghouls. But this is what BG kind of play for. First turn, get that extra gold, make things work.
Oh, here we go. Butters, check it out.
And look at this, the unstoppable force will be forced, but still maybe won't go for the engage. They don't have their ultimates, they don't have their spells, and they are just forced to back out. It was a bit of a, let's say, they're trying to just scare out Lusty to not follow them.
Counter numbers 3 versus 2, not the best, so they have to pull back. They get some good damage onto View for now. But how long has Calamity Reaper being purchased by RubyDD?
Ooh, Mountain Shocker scouting out where the rest of BREN Esports are. And that's going to be Rebo, just hit by 3. Smooth operator. RubyDD is so far responsible for the 2 kills currently present for Burmese Ghouls.
And Ace even stole the crab coin that Carl Peasy was taking on that top lane with the Mounto. Things are going great for the side of Burmese Ghouls.
Maybe looking low. Oh, that's the first pick off. View gets it. And this is some redemption for BREN Esports. Like, they can at least take the purple. And yeah, we are about 5 minutes in, 430. 1,000 gold ahead.
I mean, is it some? Because, again, they're losing pressure across the map, and now Burmese Ghouls are looking to continuously attack, and they are destroying the shields. They've already completely cleared off the barriers coming in from that topside turret. View, he gets on out of there. He doesn't want to, put himself in any more danger than he already is. The Burmese Ghouls only up by 700 gold, but they could double this off of a single kill.
BREN Esports, they should look out for the pickoffs that Burmese Ghouls are going for.
Yep, on angles the Burmese Ghouls want to go, and that's View getting blasted out from the back lines, getting caught first. That's a trade currently. The mid support for the core and the tank, and now Flapeezy still has the Poisson, gets caught in there by the Dragon Tail, knocks him out, and the fight stays here near the turtle pit. Now Lusty trying to make sure that they all stay put, and Calvini trying to take this, and he does it 1-for-1 now. An injector onto one. Rebo going into the back lines. He is going to retreat. RubyDD once more. That's the disengage.
Oh, RubyDD, he needed to target a single person. He drops on the Zaman Force, and he got splits in 2. He wants to go for D, but then Kaltizi's in the back. Which does he go for?
BREN Esports know that Burmese Ghouls have the team fight on lock right now for the early game. What they are doing right now is just they're trying to get the small victories. Get the turtle. Don't overextend. Do not engage him as much as possible. It's their time now. Just scale for a bit. Wait for the proper timing to fight. And BREN Esports are doing it well.
Can they get more, though? Can they push this advantage that they have here? D needs to get out of there. Oh, no, Rebo, he gets caught by the Imperial Justice. Great play coming in for the Burmese Ghouls, and a huge counter item here. Necklace of Durans just to stop the healing coming in from everybody on the side of BREN. And they want to go for another pick onto Lusty. Wrong place, wrong time.
On the bottom lane, there is another kill on Flapeezy. And bodies are going down on the floor just because Burmese Ghouls, they really like these pickoffs.
3 fronts and 3 losses here for BREN Esports so far. Kaltizi looking for revenge. The bloodthirsty prodigy here gets one at least, shutting down RubyDD. Now the fight continues after taking this turret. That's the knocking him up. Gonna go for the Black Dragon form. This is a full bar of Sha energy. And now Kaltizi dueling with Ace. And there you go. The unstoppable force takes down the core. That's Claude destroyed here, kid. Flickering out. And that's D. Finally shut down by Lusty. Currently 2-for-1. BREN Esports, they seem to be getting trumped by Burmese Ghouls at every turnstile.
I think, so far, I think it's just 2 mistakes, and that's why the Burmese Ghouls are only slightly ahead here.
Burmese Ghouls, they've been getting a lot of these kills, but for the side of BREN Esports, they're getting the trades, because the last time they met, every fight that Burmese Ghouls wins, it actually has an objective that comes with it. But for this certain game, there is always a trade in terms of 2-for-2, 2-for-1, and Burmese Ghouls, they're not getting the turrets early.
Yep, unstoppable force here, plus the ejector into the back lines. Poissan's not going to save you. RubyDD An assassin of a Harith takes down Flap. And now, hold up, Kaltizi looking for some revenge. Kid uses the Imperial Justice to retreat. That's going to be D going in. Where's the backup? They're looking for it. Kaltizi getting blasted. Oh, that's the fatal link onto one. D is still alive. A bar full of Shah. And that's destroyed by D. And they get away with it. Ruby, DD is just having a ball.
Oh my goodness, how did D survive that? My goodness, he really took quite a beating off of it.
And Burmese Ghouls, they're getting the fights, but they're timing it well. When do they take a fight? They take a fight when they take down Flap. Flap is responding. He cannot respond to that gank, and that means D, as of now, will be unkillable.
I think it was looking good initially. He was looking for that pickoff. He was trying to say, hey, I could get this big stun onto D, and maybe we can play off of this. Burmese Ghouls see the opportunity to say, hey, he has no options to get out now. We can look for the punish.
That is true. As you can see right now, Burmese Ghouls, they really like to go for these kinds of plays. Just stay in the brush, try to get the ejector close to Kid. Kid sets up the Imperial Justice, and that is a 1-for-1. And that's what happened right here.
Same old story. The same old story. Lusty walks into a death bush. And now Flapteasy trying to save the day. Son, it's too late.
The classic. The classic happens more times to pros than you would like to admit. But D is going to keep on smacking up that tier 2. And this is what Burmese Ghouls have been doing ever since the group stages. Just making sure they take fights and they start getting that return of investment somewhere across the map. Todak did a pretty good job. But, Burmese Ghouls making it look really, really natural.
BREN Esports, they should be looking at that Lord, maybe not give it to Burmese Ghouls as of the moment, because when they do, that is going to be all of the outer turrets down, and probably one inhibitor turret on their side is going down.
Flapteasy hit there with the ejector, but it's going to be a non-starter. Real quick, item check. Kid just bought a glowing one. That should lead to more kills, but right now, that's the mountain shots are starting it off. As we just said, Few gets taken down. Ruby DD though, 2-for-1. The current trade here, the numbers are going well for BREN Esports. Kid and Ruby DD for Few.
That was a great fight for BREN Esports. Burmese Ghouls, they thought that they caught BREN off guard, but they were ready. They knew that there was a possibility, a small possibility, that someone or two people are there in that brush, and it paid off for them.
Yeah, and I mean, even Rubini D, he dropped down the Salmon Force to make something happen, but now the Burmese Ghouls looking to turn this fight on top of them to make sure they don't get the Lord, maybe in the back line, but he goes down almost straight away. Baptiste making sure he's zoning out Ace. They have a double kill coming in from Carl Teasy, making it look real nice and smooth as the comeback mechanic is here, down 4K, now evening up the score to at least 1K differential and taking the lead.
Oh no, the fight continues. Kid forced to retreat. Zaman forced it in by Ruby DD, but the damage has been done. Words have been said, feelings have been hurt, and Lord is marked down mid.
Nice engage there for the side of Kid. He might have bitten off more than he can chew, but Ruby DD saves the day. They cut their losses to a minimum.
Check this gold graph out. At least we get a better idea because, again, when we were looking at the Burmese Ghouls, they were almost reaching that 5K mark, and that would have been a really difficult position to get, especially when it was about 7 to 6 minutes into the game. Things have changed in the forces.
Yep, they're pushing this mid lane turret to accomplish BREN Esports. CDD2 hit from the swing of the axe, chunking him off to about half health, and there's another push up top. Wow. And Burmese Ghouls now feel the pressure from BREN Esports.
And look at this, all turrets, all outer turrets. For the school,
The Double Force is going to get punished with the Circle Eagle as the rest of BREN Esports push him back to toys.
just wanted the side of BREN toss him pushing. It didn't really work out for their side. Just because BREN Esports, they were ready and they know that that will happen.
Oh, Flaps easy here, picked off by Ruby DD. They get their come up. And not for Butters.
Crystal and Divine Glaive, the Crystal, Crystal, go and BREN Esports.
Oh, and the kid with Few putting in the last touch. Now D here, caught in no man's land. You are the odd one out. 2 for none here so far. BREN Esports turning the river into land.
Right now, I have to give it to BREN. Their re-engagements into these fights, especially when Burmese have the advantage, pretty significant items. What are your thoughts?
Athena shield for the side of is kind of having a hard time just getting his items. He has a multi-player just to clear the waves. For the side here of D, have let's say a Blade of Despair just to add extra damage. Ace here still has 4 items only on his belt.
I mean, with the items in the position that they are in now, Burmese Ghouls 39k, BREN's 43. BREN just hit their power spike. All Burmese Ghouls have to do, play this slow, clear that waves, wait until that Lord is up, and then play this stalemate where you're putting enough pressure to say, hey, I could look to contest you on Lord, and I might contest, but as long as you are not the Lord, we have enough time to hit our 42k power spike, and then that's where they're going to call it.
In swings on Carl Teasy. He might just stack up of damage.
Oh! The fight! He popped the details from that mountain shocker. Gonna be an incentive for BREN Esports the back. That's gonna be from the backline space. Getting chomped. Oh! This is going to be the pit helping BREN Esports. That's a double for BREN. Make it a triple. It's one each of the teams. And right now, they for the Lord take. This is luminous.
On Burmese will initiate on that fight. He said maybe we can go back in. The Toy Poisson has been wasted, and D, he's got a little bit of health. He maxed on his passive heal back. Actually, BDD can't get into the fight. You have to fight on the objectives. A place where you have to abuse your and kind of outmaneuver your opponents.
Molten Core became the cursed helmet here for Teasy. Easy. I'm just getting those dominance wings. In no defense, the damage schools. As long as it's getting is going a lot of resources that down.
Ghouls have to cannot go get hit. Plus, the have a skip where the fight is.
Sports has mobility. Stay where the now that was and clear the way already at Ace didn't have going to be the point
That inhibitor down on mid side, that would have been a huge blow.
The Tribo is just turning off that blood ode.
He's
He's
never
never
off.
never turning it off. He has the purple buff. Well, see the world because they're getting their buffs anymore.
Yeah, this is the choke here.
I mean, yes, you're getting a choke, but it's only 8k. They're only 8k high. Burmese Ghouls, if they win one fight, they're even. And if they win that fight, the gold lead is at a 153k mark.
But then again, Gidget, if you are defending this hard, you take every you get.
True, but that also means safe way to arm. It goes both ways here. BREN need to find a way to catch the Burmese Ghouls off guard. And the Burmese Ghouls, if they get a little too antsy and they don't play disciplined and get punished for that mistake, BREN will end this game. There's going to be 92 more seconds. And Burmese Ghouls don't necessarily have to force anything.
So far, these two, this economy, know what the timings are. They know where priority. That the last said it was what, like a 7K, 8K goal lead, just. But that's because BREN Esports has been on the show only about a rotation of buffs in. But now that's the second or third, and Burmese Ghouls, you see it, you feel that Ruby DD, you feel that Ace. They're just not dealing as much damage.
For now, but let's have a look. I mean, they've got the purple buff, which is really important, especially for Rebo here. And now, keep your eyes on Call TZ. When he has that orange buff, Burmese Ghouls might have to reconsider whether or not, who the hero priority is going to be here. And this orange buff, it's way too important. Pulls in two from the Burmese Ghouls, and the Mountain Champion does come out. But maybe he's trying to zone out the rest. And Baptiste, he doesn't mind taking that damage as he goes on forward. But Ruby DD is going to be the next on the chopping block. He tries to dodge it around with his Diamond Force, but it ain't going to be enough as maybe pulls backwards again. He can't do too much. He turns around with the Imperial Justice. Ace tries to go in and get the killing spree. He's got it down. Now it's a 1v3. He dodges right in between sliding, but Rebo fight is looking pretty bad. One and BREN, they call it off. Take wins, and now they need to end this right here.
The trash is possible. Be here. Gets gone out. Ace gets gone out as well. And look at this. The burst down won't be there, but that is not going to be the objective as the base of Burmese Ghouls go down.
That's game one taken here by BREN Esports. Chop on to the Philip and Butters. How perfect you called the very last moments. This is a different BREN Esports. They don't need that game one pickup.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to get back to quarters in a little bit. This is what you actually hit much in the couple. They always lose games moving wrong this time. They are paying.
Yeah, more importantly, it really made Butters.
Maybe facing that was good, but played their game. They early game, turtle, but they always see a team to take risks. So that means if you they push, they're not.
At this point, I do agree with that necessarily take here, but I think look at the draft is that big width, and I think we have people to say, yeah, Axia needs to be recruited, needs to be banned out. I want to get rid of all things that regenerate with their health, so at least you have a way to deal with it.
That's right. Talking a lot more about air stat on board to get a LaFell. What a one of 7 matchcasters is moving out a match. You know, they were a little bit of some draft issues. I think they also, but unfortunately, BREN Esports, they were better this birthday. What do you think about that?
So, since this is the grand finals, I'll actually look at it a little bit more quickly, where I feel like both of these teams, both made mistakes in the game, where BREN, okay, maybe they wanted to scale a little bit to the mid-game because they learn what to do and how to respond to what BG is doing. And the same thing happens to BG later on in the game, where, alright, the early and the mid stages, they look pretty good, but then when it starts to matter in the terms of team fight, they have some big mistakes. Like, I don't think we'll be looking at any clips, but the thing is, Yu Zong, as we can see, when he goes in his Black Dragon form, he takes too much damage, and the thing is, we will look at his itemization and see why that is so. And the last thing is that he light and then he just go back in.
You know, night and day, I would say, from the performances of the playmakers when the mid-game did happen. This is why I feel that my personal MVP is Lusty for this particular game because his playmaking for initiations coming up from enjoy it and the goals in the mid-game. But
I just appreciate whenever teams are playing the Baxian composition, they just have a necklace of endurance or make sure that no one in the enemy team can ever sustain.
right.
Now, look at the song's itemization. Is most MR. He is magic resist armor goes in. He goes back. He uses his artillery to get more stats off as well as until he could not handle Sylvana. It had not do much of the initiation, and even if it did, it didn't mean that much in the grander scale of the game. Just like you said, comparing Jawhead and Lusty with the Atlas did so much more.
You know what? We always talk about the scaling potential of the course. Why don't we talk about the scaling potential of the support? I think that smart take coming out from Caltisi, picking up that Queen's Wings and that Athena Shields. This really helped him tank through all of the scaling damage from the side of Burmese Ghouls because they are banking on the fact that this Harith will carry them in the latter portions of the game, but it wasn't possible because of the itemization. I also want to take note some draft indecisions coming out from Burmese Ghouls. I think they were forced to pick up. It was already picked up. This is weird, but I'm gonna say it. Alice is one of those traditional counters to the Harith. Even if you look back about 2 years or maybe 1.5 years ago, when people are starting to play Harith, Alice was an answer just because of that instant stun that you get out of the Blood Ode.
Yeah, I especially like how Alice plays. She goes in behind and then use the Blood Ode, get as much damage as she can.
Yeah.
But anyway, Wolf, I heard that the players are ready.
Yeah, the players are ready. The casters are also ready, and I am ready for game number 2. Now, can Ghouls at least end this up, or are we gonna see a 2-0? Quick 2-0, quick start from BREN ESPORTS. Let's ask the casters.
For the breakdown, Wolf as well as LaBelle for the round number 1. I'd like to thank also like Tumi for M the champions of M2 Tumi like and back. You bring your
Of many consumer brands in Asia. That's SUTL Group. They are proud to be the 2021 member of the MOBB Partners in Esports for Fiji Water, Egg Chong's It's Cups, and Mountain Dew. To find out more, visit www.sutl.com.
That's right. You can also catch the live streaming of the mega event, Mobile Legends Bang Bang M2 World Championship 2020, held in Singapore for free on MeWatch. A total of 12 teams from 9 different countries are competing for this $300,000 US. And wow, sure it's Burmese Goals or BREN Esports that Vegas is
Awkward that we
What? Didn't see it.
what you were doing, yes.
With meaning? Why not? Honestly, we need to talk about the meaning of these upcoming games here because again, Burmese Ghouls as well as BREN are really going as of right now. However, this momentum we did see previously in that best of 5. BREN with just a little bit of momentum can get this ball rolling, and I think the Burmese Ghouls have 2 options: either they shut this down now. Or BREN is just going to keep on going. You're going to see cleaner, faster, more efficient plays.
For Burmese Schools, they should start with the time 2 starts. Because the thing yeah, that is probably gonna make BREN Esports a bit more tired as the games pass by.
A battle of attrition.
And yeah, and when you're tired, you try to make those decisions that aren't really the best for your team anymore. So it could be an advantage that Burmese schools need to take.
Yeah, and speaking of Witcher, they definitely try to do as much as they can in the early games to actually go in for those sort of picks, and definitely it worked well by getting a couple of kills, but it's the choke points in those team fights that actually cost them a lot. They went in the jungle, they get caught, they try to contest for a lord, they get caught, so very big element coming from that Burmese schools need to look at the picks and bans.
I think so far this BREN Esports that we're seeing in this best of 7 is a different one than we've seen all playoffs, all M2, right? They start strong here again, not wasting any time. Usually we know them as like the underdog that will lose game 1 and learn, and then they'll take the rest of the series. But yeah, Butters, you were saying
This is probably BREN Esports battle scarred.
battle
Battle scarred BREN Esports.
No, I
Like,
was gonna say.
they went through a lot. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that this BREN Esports has unlocked the Ultra Instinct. Like, they know what they're doing and they're in a state of flow.
Yeah.
And they just have to keep going. They just have to keep going, and it's up to Burmese Gold to stop them. And it's not on BREN Esports anymore.
Yeah, and you know what? That happens when Battle Night comes on.
That's right. Speaking of Battle Nights, today we're pleased to announce the launch of the new anniversary season of Magic Chess Blazing Hammer. The new adventure awaits you as it will officially begin on 30th, and the new upgraded system bless little commander and map, all synergies revamped, and Vital skin awaits you.
And Butters,
You know what? You know what? Just let me put a scenario. In some of the animes that we have,
Oh, okay, all right.
okay,
I'm listening.
there is a progression.
Uh-huh.
All right. So when you have that progression, you get beat by the enemy team first. Then you learn a lot of new techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Then you meet new adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to the final boss.
Okay.
And that's what happened to BREN Esports right now. This is a new BREN Esports just because of the games that they had to go through.
wait, are you saying this is BREN Esports' story?
This could be, or this couldn't. This could be not, because the thing is, it all depends on them on how they execute.
So far, M2 has been eyes on BREN.
True enough.
Because of the noise that they make.
No, and just the way that they climbed.
All right, boys. You gotta give some room for Gideon. He's giving me some awkward stares.
A little confused.
I think me and Era are gonna take this away with a little bit of a hot take here, because again,
Yeah.
BREN gets knocked down to the lower brackets, and you know, Burmese, who put them there? Burmese Ghouls. They're like, hey, by the way, we can knock you down a peg,
Right.
Just
Yeah.
real quick.
I
And
agree.
one of the best upper bracket run all to get knocked down. Omega, well, it is, but I will have definitely taken a couple of, you say,
I agree.
anime arcs here, but I really hope it is on, because Ash doesn't win any tournaments until later. So here, you might just jinx it.
Okay, we're not even getting there right now. I'm going to be controlling the situation before we get to Butters as well as Leo. So, BREN Esports permanently banning away that Diggy. They definitely don't want a situation with the sort of the time journey being popped up in those big fights that they're trying to win. So, Natalia, Esmeralda, Matilda, what do you guys think?
Yeah, rounding back into the draft here, this reminds me of argue situation. As soon as what the standard metagame dictates, and even if you go off and go pick up what Wolf would like to call the sisters, right, with the carry in the core role, BREN still got you figured out. So right now, it looks like they want to play a fair game and force Burmese Ghouls to face the wrath of their momentum.
And remember, this is a best of 7, so anything can happen in terms of drafting, and a lot of things will be adjusted as the games go by. Now, for Burmese schools, I agree with Gideon. They shouldn't forget what they did on the first time they met. They beat BREN Esports clean 2-0.
It's something to keep in mind here, and especially with the Burmese schools on their final ban. The question is, are there enough tools that have been taken away from BREN to say, yes, I do not need to ban out this Boxia? But let's see it, it's going to be the Claude, and I think that's a good number of tools, which either means one or two things. Either they're going to give BREN the question and say, hey, pick a lot of heroes that can actually life back up, a lot of that spell vamp, concentrated energy, I don't care, I can pick the Boxia within first rotation if I have to, right, Contra?
Yeah, definitely correct right there, as we have a lot of discussion on this Boxia. Now, it'll be even more interesting if BURMESE Go snatch it away in this sort of instance, because they've been able to play quite an enormous variety of tanks themselves, which can definitely throw BREN Esports off. So, two takes, majority of the mages being banned away. We're already seeing the Benedetta come online after long drawn.
All right, so yeah, we did miss out on the Benedetta. She made it through. And this time around, I think Baksha would be safe. Baksha would be safe. Huge jump for BURMESE Ghouls, so they can give Flappy Baksha and then for Carl Easy.
A stable pick, it's going to give a lot of vision. Think about it. Well, it is expected at this point.
I don't know. I'm still surprised. I've been doing this so long. The little things
I understand.
Okay, in comparison of the exchange, we do see Atlas.
Yeah. So let me get back to my point with BREN Esports. They have the Eason Shin, they have the Selena. They have a lot of vision in terms of the map. Now they can telegraph where BURMESE Ghouls is gonna come from as long as they place those well-timed mountain shockers and those abyssal marks, make it in deep on the jungle side of BURMESE Ghouls. Now, for the side of BURMESE Ghouls, you would really see how much priority they give into these clashes, that they even pick an Atlas on the first phase of pickings.
I mean, BURMESE Ghouls just want to put BREN in an awkward spot here. They saw them perform on it, so okay, if you can well with it, let's take it away and make sure that we punish you later on into the game. They're also got a great man coming in for the BURMESE Ghouls here, just to ensure that, hey, BREN, even if you do throw Boxia into the side lane to deal with our Yuzong, we're going to take away obvious flex picks here and kind of force Boxia into that side lane without having to pose too many questions of whether or not he's going to be put as a support.
Yeah, so far, BREN has proven that, yes, every time we pick a Baksha, it's mostly to just keep fights fair and get regen down to an all-time low. And that's what this metagame currently has been, right? Like, people living to 1 HP, getting away, and forcing long, drawn-out fights. And ever since Flapteasy has figured out, hey, I can be bold with this, I can just force people into fights and win duels even, then, yeah, it's all the better. Higher band down. By starting the
Definitely know how to ban the right hero here and forcing them to actually go the marksman route in towards the jungle. Do you think this is going to be a smart move coming from inside of BREN Esports, Gideon?
Marksman route. I think at this point in time, going the marksman route is your safest bet here. And, you know, making sure that you have the Ishin Shin on your side for the side of BREN, that's totally fine. But the BURMESE Ghouls, they still have options like the Wanwan. Banning out the Alice, kind of giving me the vibes that Wanwan might be the option that BURMESE Ghouls want to first pick.
And do keep in mind that Benedetta jump in the thing.
Exactly.
That is the same adjustment. Let's say that BREN Esports just goes ham on taking out these ace here. Benedetta could be good as his.
And we know that BURMESE Ghouls can adjust. They were known to play non-tank lineups as well.
Yeah, and from the side of BREN Esports, they have taken note that the Lunox is also up for grabs, which is such a strong hero that with that, no, this is going to be the first pick in priority of Ace.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it, Leo.
I think Butter's point was true because if you choke out Ace, yeah, again, they can just throw Benedetta into the jungle, but they switch it up. They say, all right, kid, check yourself before you wreck yourself. We're going to take away the Lunox from you, but who's still on deck there? Farsa still out there?
Harith's still out there.
Harith's still out there. Ruby DD was going, whoo!
Pretty hot. I mean, he's definitely got some moves. I think the question is whether or not they can scale. Yep, they go for something that scales naturally with level progressions.
Right now, this just tells me that this is going to be Benedetta. Like, no priority whatsoever in the fourth. Maybe we're thinking a mid lane, then that's...
Yeah. So, I think, no caution out of the way. BURMESE Ghoul BREN Esports to finish their lineup. Last 2 picks. Farsa here, gonna go on to Rebo from the side lanes. And of course, it's old trusty Lusty's Cho.
Yeah, I think this is really smart for the side of BREN, putting in the far side into the composition, and then after going for that off lane, or even the Farsa as well. Even if we're want the 1-1, it's then you're up against someone you can't really bully, and then what's the point, right?
Yeah, definitely want to talk about this one because the Benedetta, if he can get anywhere close to it. So there's a lot of all these layers down to team fights coming from the side of Burmese goals. And to add on top of that layer, it's going to be Roger that will be giving them so much of that stability and damage in the late game.
Okay, it's good against the backshot. It answered the backshot just because of the percentage damage that he has when in wolf form. He can dive in for the Selena, he can dive in for the Farsa, and it really gives a lot of BREN Esports positioning problems throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at this draft. I'd say it's rather interesting here, but Burmese Goals draft. This is the first time I'm seeing their draft and thinking like, man, this is a pretty hard to execute draft in comparison to BREN Esports, and it feels like a change of pace.
Yeah, definitely a change of pace, and of course, having a little bit of that scalability definitely helps the side of Burmese Goals, but you know, BREN Esports is that team that will press you on from minute one, and that might just be the trouble for the side of Burmese Goals. But, well, Butters, this game, I'm pretty sure there's a stance coming in, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from both sides.
Yep, it's just hard to execute for the side of Burmese Ghouls, but BREN Esports still has something simple, so let's see.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going in towards game 2. BREN Burmese Goals still looking for the first point, and casters, please have
Aaron Contra, my friend. Now, the reason why I'm saying Burmese Goals have a more difficult composition naturally is because of what they have in the lineup. But more importantly, we saw previously when they were up against RRQ. RRQ was like, yes, we want a hard-to-play composition. Burmese Goals, I like it simple, and I like it effective.
They have 2 executes their side, and it really makes a lot of sense just because they want to take Flap TZ as fast as possible. Get his HP on that threshold, press that, and just rinse and repeat.
Yep, and they want to do it to everyone on BREN Esports side because the high damage output heroes, right? Rebo, even Lusty with the only fast, Carl TZ, of course, the core, and this is currently turning into the most fair metagame of Mobile Legends we've seen in a while, right? Save for those diggy strats, but right now, Flap TZ dueling with D down bottom. Up top, it's going to be the Benedetta versus the Farsa on Rebo and Ruby DD.
Yeah, this might be the first engagement here. Again, we're seeing the Mountain Shocker to get a good idea of how this is going out. Lusty, he sees what's going on top side. He's just going to use his G Quindo to get on out of there. As you can see, the Burmese Ghouls have control over that top side, but BREN don't necessarily have to react. I mean, look down bot. They are pushing out D.
Ooh. Now Lusty caught out here. Again, the big rotations by Burmese Ghouls not turning into much. Getting a few hits on this energy shield is Flap TZ and Few. Growing their lead by about 400, 500. Very, very small. Not yet noticeable. But right now, after this turtle, 2 minutes in, definitely we're going to see an early lead.
You can see right now how serious Burmese Ghouls is into taking this turtle. They know when it come out, and look at this, they have 4 people in the area already.
Knock up here by Cho, maybe going to be telling them, hey, it's ready, it's ready. The blade put in by Kid, taking some damage. Maybe up the chance, Carl TZ, Lusty at less than half health. I think BREN Esports already got what they needed. That's the turtle.
Yep, and I definitely think it was a little bit of a macro mistake coming in for the Burmese Ghouls, where they're making the call thinking that they were going to get invaded, but instead BREN Esports take the advantage of this and go for the turtle, because again, look at D, he only just hit his level 4, his wave was already pushed in. They realized, oh, we're at a level disparity, only because they were able to push D out at the 2nd minute of the game. Small decisions like this make a huge difference, and Burmese Ghouls will not take that risk.
Now, Lusty is just staying in the brushes. He knows that he needs to find where maybe is going to come from, but Carl TZ is just farming well, different from the start of game number 1.
Here we go, Wave the Dragon already on top of Baby to get the first pick of the game. First blood goes through. A quick follow-up of the Abyssal Arrow here, and Burmese Ghouls, again, they are just pulling backwards and not trying to be too aggressive, and these picks are going to hurt them at the end of the day, considering what their lineup is.
Now 3 minutes, 30 seconds in. All heroes on the map have their ult. So now fights are going to get interesting. Engagements are going to be almost all in, and if not, somebody's going to be counting, hey, this guy spent his ult, we should go for a move now. Like to find here, but get in the book. Here comes the rest of them. Nice arrow to scout out the bush. That's going to be Carl Easy charging up this arrow. Gets a few hits in. Mount Shocker from the back. Here comes Lusty. Way of the Dragon. That's going to be Baby. And the fight is happening underneath the turret. That's going to be Ruby DD, the first casualty. That makes Kid the second. That's Rebo getting double. Maybe is next. He coming in with the black dragon form. And Carl Easy is in his face. That's going to be Flat Easy coming in. No regeneration for you. Far for none currently. And Ace is the lone survivor. Dodging that arrow by just an inch. And right now, he has no choice but to go down. The wipeout delayed by BREN Esports. They take it nonetheless.
Burmese Ghouls, BREN Esports, they're playing each other's game. BREN Esports went to the territory of the side of Burmese Ghouls in terms of playstyle, and now they are serving the pain to the side of Burmese Ghouls.
Now, Leo, I know you were very iffy about specifically the Selena and how it's supposed to be executed here. Few legitimately won that entire fight, landing one of the most weaved through abyssal arrows to make sure it landed onto Ace. Full 3 seconds of lockdown, allowing Lusty to control the fight. But again, another one will occur.
Same way with the Wave of the Dragon, but I'm a believer. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe gets knocked out. They trade out for Lusty, but it's worth it because it's a 3-4-1. Ace bites the dust. Now, back to what you were saying. This was yesterday, man. This was yesterday when the win rates were on an all-time low, and Ruby DD barely gets away with his life, spending his entire kit.
I have this hunch that Ruby DD was looking at the map, just staying there, and he forgot that BREN Esports was still in the area.
I mean, look at Carltese. He has literally 100% kill participation. 4 kills, 5 assists, making sure that that Mountain Sharker is getting maximum value. But check this out. The way that they initially started, View is ensuring that every single time he doesn't necessarily need to be there. He just needs to stop the follow-up after the abilities occur. So, Fatal Links, whatever. Oh no, you're going to be throwing your Roger in? That's when I'm dropping the arrow.
You also have to look at what Joe did, and Benedetta gets caught out.
It's like he dashed into the arrow as well. Great conditioning here by BREN Esports. They get another. Carl Teasy takes down Ace and maybe is running for his life. That's a double for the Prodigy. I don't need the Lancelot. Y'all gave me the YSS, and now Kid flickers back.
Oh my goodness, if you would see the fights, how they happen. Lusty and Q, they're just playing out of their minds. D here getting control, the arrow thrown out. D will escape, but there is a cut there by Lusty, and that is going to be another takedown. Favor the side of BREN Esports.
Oh my goodness, View is just, I'm not gonna lie, there's not a few games where I'd say, there's not a, few games I would like to admit it, but this one, he's kind of smurfing. He really is kind of smurfing here, and Burmese Ghouls are playing so nervous around him.
You know, Gidjon, I get your point. I'm not at the esports. If it works, it works.
Numbers don't lie. If you're sitting at 13-1 at 7 minutes in, about 7K ahead, and you leave your opponents running like that, and you're drawing lines with the arrow, I couldn't ask for more if I was BREN Esports, but the Burmese Ghouls, they must be sweating it right now, because I think after this last turtle is going to be Lord. What do they need to do? Do they need to take less fights? Do they need more defensive? Because they've already lost all their first-tier turrets.
They need to get caught out. Real big going to be Lusty. As long as they necessarily
in the middle of 3, that's going to be the Poissons in here by Flat Easy, stopping the regeneration. Oh, and we're going to see a triple. Are we waiting for it? That's maybe down by Rebo, and Ace is running away. Oh, he's not going to survive. That's Flat Easy getting him on the rollout, and right now, BREN Esports is feeling it. They could massive scale, maybe 2 turrets, maybe 3. Who knows? They're unstoppable in this state.
I'm starting to get more and more disappointed. This isn't the Burmese Ghouls that we know and love. This wasn't the same team that played yesterday. They are playing scared, and not only that, they're making terrible decisions. Right off the bat, they're not playing off of the power spike. They could have waited for the 22K mark. Instead, they give another 5K over to BREN Esports, a full turtle, and another turret. At this point, Burmese Ghouls are just putting more nails in their own coffin. This is not what I wanted for them. This isn't the team that we know and love.
Burmese Ghouls, they need to find a way to stop this bleeding right now. Flap Easy is just zoning out everyone evenly. Cannot stand in front of Flap. Flap is level 10, he is level 8.
Huge gap here. Huge gap. And the fact that Flapeasy knew that he was their way, because he knew that it was the only thing left. And if anything, I'm sure he could have forced the Black Dragon form and wasted it for the next team fight. But right now, Ace! Oh, he thought he could get executed, but now it still counts as a kill for few.
It was a very good attempt, but now Burmese Ghouls, this is a situation where anything, and BREN has the perfect line. Selena, those who are so snowball-oriented, it's ridiculous rescale. Unfortunately, few may not scale as hard, but regardless, his utility is invaluable.
Oh, wow. D retreats from the duel. He was going 1-1 against Flapeasy, and Rebo says, I gotcha, bro. Finishes it off with a feathered airstrike.
It hit earlier just because he was flying. But still, that is going to be a Lord attempt going to the side here of BREN Esports. Because Burmese Ghouls doesn't want to contest. Because they can.
Oh, it hurts to see. It hurts to see K ahead, and all this because Burmese Ghouls are feeling nervous and made some really bad especially that turtle 10K. Honestly, I think this much seals the deal here unless BREN makes a mistake. Seeing how BREN plays, this is how they do it there at the Philippines, watching their VODs. The moment they get that lead, they don't let go of it.
Burmese Ghouls, they need to find a way. And what's that way? Just wait for BREN Esports to make a mistake. But how long can you hold on?
BREN Esports is going to force you to answer, and here we go. Feathered airstrike here by Rebo. They know now, after 3 fights that have just gone sideways, they know that, hey, let's not force it. I know we're under our base. I know that they're certain. But hold up! Lusty with the way of the dragon. Ace gets eliminated. That's going to be the trade, though. Kid takes the show down, and now Ruby DD is feeling his life is in danger. And yeah, that's going to be the push on the mid lane. The inhibitor has been taken down, and they're sieging up top as well.
You know, considering the situation, this ain't too bad, but now the Burmese Ghouls, it's an all-or-nothing push here as D tries to get another pick onto Cartesi. They're trying their best. Ruby DD goes down. The killing spree puts Cartesi in perfect position, and now this was their last attempt to try and go for a fight. And BREN is able to stand up, force out the Burmese Ghouls to take one last fight to ensure they put the last nail in the coffin in this game.
Oh, 2 defenders now, 3 in comes Ace, but there's no way taking this inhibitor with them. They're not keeping it, that is. I'm wondering if they can finish here. BREN Esports, they're all here, all 5.
BREN Esports, they're gonna try, but there are a lot of buffs onto the side lanes, and they're just gonna go for the all-in.
Yep, Kid taking out here. Cartesi barely surviving. The shutdown onto Flapeasy. Oh, Ruby DD feels it. He can shut down Cartesi, and indeed he does. The execute pops the usage in, shutting him down 9, 1, and 8. Hold up, Rebo and Lusty. They're not done. Oh, what an alley-oop by Few from down south. It's just the left here to defend, and I don't think he can do it. Black Dragon form. He's gonna try. He's gonna try. He's going in for Few, and he knows that there's a wave here. Feathered airstrike by Rebo. Feathered airstrike by Rebo. Lusty knocking him up. There's some shy energy, but it's not enough. That's the wipeout. We're waiting for a wave of minions, and here's one defender. Here's Kid. What can Kid do? Flame shot here by Few. He's gonna knock him up in just a matter of time. Ladies and gentlemen, BREN Esports takes game number 2.
Back-to-back wins scored by BREN Esports of the Philippines, and the Myanmar side could not respond to this call. Like what Butters mentioned here, they try to go in for the sort of, but they're a little bit too far behind after a couple of all these fights.
And considering how things are going for the side of Burmese schools, they need to go back to the drawing board. It seems to me that they forgot how they beat BREN Esports in the first place. Now, if they expected BREN Esports to just come here and play the same game as they did on their first meeting on the upper bracket, they're gravely mistaken. They should find a way to stop them at this point.
Personally, the way I look at it, the draft absolutely fine. I mean, Burmese Ghouls should have been able to win on this draft. It really came down to a couple of macro decision makings that really hurt them at the end of the day. And BREN, they saw these mistakes. They're playing nervous, so let's keep on pushing through. And right now, Burmese Ghouls, I don't know whether the nerves are getting to them, because this is absolutely not what we saw in the group stages, in the entire upper brackets. Where was that confidence? Why are they shaking now?
It's really tell what's the reason behind this, and this is the very first time in any major event that you are seeing Burmese Ghouls in the grand finals itself. MPLI, we saw BREN Esports pretty much getting their hands pretty close by, but hey, it was Elder Ego that snatched it away. So this is the wealth of experience in terms of an offline setting, or you could say a grand final setting.
I think at this point, Alter Ego is out of discussion. It's
That's right.
these two teams, these titans of nations that are now on top of the Mobile Legends Bang Bang world, right? This is Myanmar versus the Philippines. Indonesia had their time in the sun. But yeah, right now I think we're going to need the help of our analysts to break it down.
That's right, players got to get comfortable, so do we. We're going to pass it over to LaFell as well as Wolf to just talk about this.
Commanding victory once again from BREN Esports, getting the 2-0 start here at the Grand Finals. My name is Wolf and I'm with the Bell. Going to be analyzing that game number 2, which was kind of interesting because this really looked like it's not Burmese Ghouls. That's at least what I saw from that match. But how about you, LaFell? What do you think?
I agree. And in this situation, sure, people can just say, all right, maybe the dig and pick is that big for Burmese Ghouls. But right now, I'm going to look behind the camera, you know, in a situation in the player's head. This is the grand finals. It is a best of 7. The nerves could be going to them because the thing is, perhaps their shot caller is being pressured a little bit too much, where it's being pressured a little bit too much. I'm so sorry. But either way, this is what I'm trying to say. Right now, we can see that Burmese Ghouls, they're not being as aggressive as they should be. They're not going for those crazy early games. They're not going for those crazy mid games. But to be fair, BREN Esports, even I don't see much opening from them. Lusty, going around everywhere in the map and doing all sorts of crazy initiations.
I want to say that it is true that Burmese Ghouls, they don't like they're in their mojo right now, right? So, I mean, well, when it comes to team fights, I also want to add, Joakim asked me if Burmese Ghouls will be warmed up and ready for day. It seems like they're not. Well, BREN Esports, they look like a well-oiled machine. They are also incredibly steamy at this point because of how on fire they are. I want to say few, 5-0 and 17, on point with all of those arrows.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not just with those arrows. Like, looking at the draft from BREN Esports, this might be the draft to fight against Burmese Ghouls. Let's look at what they have. They have Selena. They have the Yisun Shin. They have the Cho. 3 of these heroes are actually very good in terms of opening the map. Selena with those abyssal traps, she can open up those bushes. Yisun Shin with the Mountain Shocker. Hey, where are you guys? I know where you are. And Cho, when Lusty's using it, he is free brave going into those bushes and like, all right, are they here? No, they're not. Let me check the next one. And again, Farsa as well with the Feather Airstrike. Even just to be safe, just open the Feather Airstrike and then just hit every single bush. In this kind of situation, Burmese Ghouls, they are not playing their game just because they are very prevented, because BREN Esports, their draft, the map is always open for them.
And you know, and for BREN Esports, the clashes are always opened up by the playmakers of BREN Esports. And if you think about it, every single hero just synchronizes with each other. I love the fact that whatever kind of combination you make for BREN Esports when it comes to their killing squads, it will net to kills. For example, let's pick up Selena, Yisun Shin, and Baksha. There's kill potential in there. If you just pick up Farsa and Selena, there's also their Cho in combination with Kaltizi, also a lot of kill potentials. You know what? Kaltizi scored 9, 1, and 8 with this Yisun Shin, and he also dealt so much damage into turrets, 10-2 when it comes to turrets. But if you compare that to Ace's performance, 0 and 7, including that suicide at top lane, this is just night and day when it comes to comparison of the carries and looking at the carry. My goodness, when will we get enough of this guy? 9-1-8, man.
To be fair, right? In this game, it actually could go to anyone. Few did so well.
I
Rusty
agree.
did so well. So in this kind of situation, yes, Carl Tizzy, he's the star of the show. He dealt the damage. He maintained his position to make sure that he can deal damage while being very, very safe. But again, in this kind of situation, anyone from BREN Esports deserved the MVP because that is one of the cleanest games that they had in terms of mechanical skill, where we see a lot of times Lusty going in and all of those arrows hit, all of those feathered airstrike hits, all of those skill shots, they hit. And in terms of the macro as well, it's very, very difficult to gank them just because BREN Esports see everything.
Man, this is a game that I would actually give to Few. If I'm asked who was my personal MVP of that particular match, I'm going to give it to Phil just because of how masterful he is. You do take note, in the Philippines, his Selena is known as the Championship Selena. Lore-wise, there's this big story wherein the MPL Season 2 Championship was snagged by Few's team, which was Signal Ultra back then, and they won against Rebo's team, which was BREN Esports back then, with the Championship Selena. And that is one of the legendary heroes that everybody knows in the Philippines.
Yeah, and honestly, we are getting ready for a break right now. The players are getting ready. The casters do want to rest as well. And the thing is, coming back later, I do want to see the drop. Because right now, BREN Esports, they always get the drop that they want. While I would say Burmese Ghouls, they're not really getting what they want. Like, they look very, very, I would say, uncomfortable.
Yeah, man. My goodness. BREN Esports catching fire. But we know that Burmese Ghouls will not go down without putting up a fight. We're going to be heading into a very short break, so do not go away, because M2 World Championship will be back.
I've got a bullet with your name on it. Download for free. Mobile Legends. Bang bang.
I am pretty sure right now in the Philippines there could be collective cheers happening. BREN Esports with a 2-0 lead against Burmese Ghouls. But like their tagline, BG never give up. We'll see what happens with our next game. By the way, if you just joined us, good evening. My name is Joachim Gomez. Welcome back to your M2 World Championship 2020 for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Proudly powered by Moonton, supported by the Singapore Tourism Board. Hashtag passion made possible. We also have Skoga supporting esports talents and careers here in Singapore since 2008. We have our friends over at IMDA as well, and loads of partner brands coming your way. How about this? Secret Lab, Tumi, SUTL, Singtel. We also have Cathay Cinema, MediaCorp, and official gaming gear Razer. Now, of course, my esteemed panel includes my co-host Lysander, and are you surprised what's happening, Lafell and Wolf as well?
I'm so surprised. I really thought BG could really take it. I still think that BG could win because we've seen so many reversals throughout M2, so it's still too early because this is a best of 7. So unless BREN Esports wins the other 2 games straight, then it's anybody's game.
Yeah, I think, okay, so right now they're getting a, logical break, a little bit of time to reset.
Yeah.
Reset the strategy. And I'm kind of glad we got a best of 7 now. Best of 7
Yeah.
might seem a little long to some of you folks, but it does let us, draw it out a little bit and give the team that's down a chance to step back up. There's still 2 games to go. It's not match point yet. And yes, like you said, reverse sweeps have happened in the history. So, Wolf, what is your analysis on this? I know BREN is the team you were supporting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really amazed on how BREN Esports is actually performing. They look like they are not making the mistakes that they were doing previously during their losing matches, particularly in the draft. I think their draft decisions are way better. Now, it kind of makes me think and makes me scared as well. What if Burmese Ghouls are just, swarming up? As a fan, I'm scared. But as an analyst, I think that they are on a steamy roll, as I would say.
Yeah, really hot streak. And we talked about this before, the lower bracket advantage. Playing for the lower bracket gives you that 5 extra games to warm up. You feel good after winning your lower bracket match. You come into this hot. You come into this, while Burmese Ghouls, they might just be coming from a scrim, but it's not the same as winning on the stage and already feeling that high.
I was going to touch on this. You brought it up very briefly, Wolf. Why didn't this happen for BREN yesterday against Burmese Ghouls?
Well, couple of maybe a lot of factors actually, and incidentally, I was able to talk to Ducky, and he said in verbatim that he believes that there are off days. Sometimes your brain is just turned off. Sometimes you just have to.
Your finger slips.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and. When I think about it, yeah, maybe it is true because it is the mental battle again. And the reason why we are having like big and long tournaments is because you kind of give time for, you kind of look for that sweet spot wherein everything's just working like clockwork for your entire team.
Personally, I agree as well with that kind of statement just because. Can you guys hear me, by the way?
We can, not
yeah,
clear.
right. I thought you were just going to leave us hanging with the
No.
Okay.
I honestly thought too.
Like honestly, like in this kind of situation, I completely agree with Ducky because this is that I used to tell my players as well. And the thing is, it's also proven by science. Just like, okay, everyone at least has an experience working out. Like going to the gym.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can carry this amount of weight. Sometimes they can't, and it's not their fault. It's not that they're being inconsistent. It's just how the body works. There are just days that they do not have that level of energy through many different factors. Maybe the amount of sleep, maybe like a very good morning experience. Like the food was really good. They had a good morning from someone special or anything like that.
But let's put the science, let's put the psychological thing behind us. Let's talk draft. Okay, so pretend you're not a BREN Esports fan now. You're Burmese Ghouls strategy camp. What do we do to change this current 0-2 situation? What is something Burmese Ghouls fans can look forward to? What do they have to do?
If there's a diggy from the side of Burmese Ghouls, there's the Flapsha that we're talking about. Flaps Baksha. You pointed this out as well. He is performing incredibly well because he is comfortable. I think that he have understood his particular role in game, which is just to disrupt all of the sustain from the opponents and be there during the team fights. This is one thing that they can take away. I believe that Burmese Ghouls, they are a team that can also play the Baksha. So instead of giving it freely to BREN Esports, maybe they can start to bring it up. Jason Shin is also a hero that they should not be that they should be contesting for both of them. I think that Lee Shin is such a crucial hero for both teams' play style, which is based on objectives.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of vision. It gives you the knowledge to know when to push, when to gank, and I think some of these drafts do tend to affect the outcome of the entire game. A lot of people talk about skills. We got Cartesi just going ham on everything he plays, but a lot of it comes down to what combination of heroes you picked.
Game aside, I don't want to reveal our age too much, but these guys are young. And for Burmese Ghouls, they could be feeling really down in the dumps now, going 2-0 down this early in the game. What do you think their coach Panda is telling them before they take on the third series?
I think that the coach just wants to remind them of how they won against BREN Esports, how dominantly they were able to just destroy BREN Esports, because I think that was a total destruction, annihilation of BREN Esports when they won 2-0. And if you remind your players that, you can actually win, and maybe slowly they can get back that feeling of winning against a team, maybe that is one way to recovery.
Just say Evo's M1.
Yeah,
It's happened before.
Yeah,